Hello and happy Labor Day for those that are representing that in the US here. And we are here, the Dance of the Soul with Regan Forston and myself, Natasha Venter, who we are here to help you grow and be aware of life as it is in a bigger picture. And so we're grateful that you are here to do the dance with us today as Regan here, who is a hypnotherapist, clinical hypnotherapist, who is tremendously gifted being just even himself in the dance of the world of life. And we are talking today about how jobs and the dance of why are we here? Why do we get put into these situations? We thought it was a good conversation for Labor Day. And I, being a psychic medium and personal awareness life coach, that we both like to bring awarenesses to where and what's going on. So Regan hasn't been here. He has been traveling. Hello,
Yeah.
Veronica. Veronica
Hi,
is
Veronica.
saying hello. Hello. And, if they're just going to say those little high dances and stuff like that, I'm just going to just say that. So you have been in Mexico getting your van painted, if I can say that, and I already
Yeah.
did, so I guess I can say that. And and you've been doing these adventures, finding this job that you have, and it kind of folded into be taking care of this van
Yeah.
that you have.
Well, I live in San Francisco, but I go down to Southern California 3 or 4 times a year to see clients, and I did a couple of life between lives sessions down there, which were amazing. Matter of fact, one of them, I'm going to be on her show later. She has a podcast like ours, but she deals with everything having to do with death. Things that people don't like to talk about, and she interviews people from all kind of walks of life, different religions and things, to see different traditions, about death. And she works in hospice for children that are dying, and doesn't
Mhm.
charge a penny. She's just there with the children to talk to them and to soothe them, to be there with the parents, to help them through the situation, because that's one of the toughest things, of course, is if you have a child, that's dying.
Oh,
And
it's beyond anything we can grasp onto. Is why is our
yeah,
children leaving us? So yeah.
she's been surprised how much easier it seems to be easier for the children than it is for the parents watching. You know, Somehow children at that age, when they're young and innocent, they're a little
I
more
think your
connected
Wi-Fi
to
is a
the
little
other side.
slow, Regan.
Uh-oh. Okay, how about now? Maybe I'm moving around too much. How is it? Is it jumpy? Uh, okay, you want me to? Maybe I'll hang up and come back in with a fresh line.
Mhm.
See what happens here. Okay, see you in a minute.
Am I freezing up or is it you? I think we're both kind of struggling. There might be something going on with Wi-Fi today because mine's showing low too. So, um, okay. Okay, there we go. We're back on.
Okay.
It's one of those things that we're here, and it's our internet. I don't know what's going on. Internet,
Yeah.
mine even went off, and so if we have troubles today, we'll come back on tomorrow. But yet at the same time, we want to work with this and do what we can do and be who we are, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. So uh,
Can you hear me better now?
hello from the planets that are in retrograde. Is this from all the planets in retrograde? I don't know, Veronica. Thank you for being here with us because, Mercury's kind of going to be going into retrograde and it's going to be happening soon. We have Uranus and Mars, and we have a bunch of different planets going into retrograde. So it's one of those dances that we all have to do it. And then we should actually do a show on perseverance.
Yeah.
The perseverance thing about going through this job and managing us, and it's one of those things. But mine is showing. Oh, there it goes back up a little bit. So it's showing that my Wi-Fi is a little bit wonky. So we actually might be having troubles with squirrels more than planets right now, because the squirrels are doing their thing of chewing and that kind of stuff. So my husband has been saying our TV's been acting a little weird. So I may need to call the cable company and say, I think the squirrels have been busy again.
Well, saying somebody has that job.
So
Somebody has that job to come out and isn't it interesting how no matter what job there is, there's 99%
what I'm
of the
gonna
times
do? I'm gonna
somebody
do
will fill it.
this. I'm gonna go on my mobile data. I'm gonna go on my mobile data and go on my phone.
Okay.
What's that? Okay, so I'm gonna go on my mobile.
To do to do to do to do.
There we go. I had to get on my mobile data. So,
Okay.
because I think the scrolls have gotten into my internet. So with that, it's one of those things. So here I am again. So sorry, everyone who's been on. Thank you for your patience. And
Yeah.
now we can get out going with the show because I know that the system is kind of wonky today. And, that's the thing about life, when we're doing jobs and doing things like that, it's all about perseverance.
Oh, it is.
It's all about working through things and doing things. And it's amazing when we're processing a lot of this dance that we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank God there's, for all, it seems like any problem we have, there's somebody that has a job that can fix it. I mean, isn't it interesting how practically every job that there is, there's somebody to fill that spot, so, and it makes this, makes the world go round, like what would happen if our cable goes down and they didn't have anybody trained to fix it, I mean, it's amazing, and you're going to find some of the cable guys come out and you talk to them about their job and they'll go, best job I ever had. Oh, I love it. And I love working with the people. And another guy's going to come out and say, oh my God, I can't wait. This this is horrible. I'm I'm working with a bunch of idiots, and and it could be the same job, but they have this different perspective, and it's, for one, it meets their needs, and the other one, it doesn't seem to. So spiritually speaking, someone who doesn't like their job, they got some work to do, and they have to figure out, well, are they supposed to be in this job and learn something from it? And the difficulties they have, are the difficulties there to teach them something? Because everything is about learning. Or do they need to learn to look out for themselves better and go find a better job? So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no clear-cut answer. Only, it's just like job is just another relationship, another form of relationship. We have our relationship with our spouses, with our friends, and then there's our relationship with work. And sometimes there's dysfunctional, really bad relationships that way with work, and sometimes they're absolutely wonderful. But just like in a relationship, just to cut and run every time there's a problem is probably wrong, because if there's something in a relationship that's not working, I would say most of the time it's because there's something there we need to learn. We need to learn to communicate, or we need to learn to accept others or get along.
Exactly. Or even just learn to be where we're at.
Yeah, learn to, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Learn that moment is about being here in this moment, and what can we in this moment observe. That's where I find that me stepping into gratitude really helps me to negotiate a lot of the waters that I'm in, even if it's in an argument, even if it's in and I made a video of it last night, even if it's in, being in the middle of a classroom where there's, kid that's screaming at the top of her lungs and everybody's in there doing this, what do we do to negotiate those waters of being in the moment, and what is it here to be with us?
Yeah. People that come to me for life between lives therapy, as I call it, this is where in a deep state of hypnosis, people actually, they can visit past lives and go beyond that to the place we go between lives, which some people call heaven. But when they do that, I have them prepare a list of questions and that they want to have answered. But the second thing they do is they make a list of the important people in their life, the people that have been, easy to be around, the people that have been hard to be around. And a lot of times coworkers come up, like they say, well, this person's in my life and this person makes my life hell at work, and I don't understand why they're in my life. Well, when you go to the other side, you can actually have a conversation with the soul part of that person that's always in heaven, and you can ask questions why. And a lot of my clients have been shocked, and they find out, oh my gosh, I was mean to you in the last life, so now I've come down in this life to get some of my own medicine, and to have to learn to not want to go into the next life and be mean to them. You want to learn that the buck stops somewhere, and you got to stop it in this life, so you don't just keep continuing it. But finding out why we have relationships, and a lot of people spend more time with coworkers than they do their spouses. More time communicating, more time at work, more time on road trips or business trips and things. And their home life or with their kids and family is secondary to that sometimes. So jobs, we learn a lot. It's not just the skill that we learn, but it's the learning how to deal with people, learning how to problem solve. So jobs are, really, really important, that way. So, and some people are meant to have a job where they can be around lots of people. Other people want more solitude. They want a kind of job where they're kind of working by themselves, sometimes. So, how do you, unless they go to someone like you, Natasha, and you can give them some little advice maybe about what they'd be most suited to or the type of work they would look for, because you're very intuitive that way. It's really difficult for people sometimes to find, just like finding that perfect mate, how difficult it is. Same thing with the job,
Exactly. And that's one thing that when people ask me that question, I kind of take myself intuitively off the list. because of the fact that, or the off the call, because for me, I can give them hints on what would suit their soul, but
Yeah.
it's what their physical brain, what their physical body, what their physical knowings would want to do. And so that's where I start taking them back, and we start making lists. We really start taking the list of, what makes you happy? It's not
Yeah.
the happy of ha ha ha, that's a funny joke. It's that happy, that's that joyfulness. It's that awareness of coming forward that can bring us into that moment. And it's like, like somebody who's been a housewife, a mom, someone who's taking care of the home during the day, and taking care of the family, and then the kids start growing up, and it's like, what do I want to do? And sometimes I go back to childhood. Well, what is that thing that you really enjoyed doing I enjoyed talking with people. Oh, so now what did you learn during those years of being at home with your children? Oh, I learned this and I learned that and that. Okay, so what can we do to combine those things? Do you still enjoy talking with people? Do you still enjoy that moment? And so it's getting back into that joyful moment of being where they are. Because I know for me that helping people has always been my soul's calling since day one. Now, how that logistically played out was not necessarily being a counselor, even though I wish I could have, but with my dyslexia, schooling was like, something that would take a year for someone to do would take me 5 years to get done. And that wasn't logistically, it would have beaten me down more than it would have filled me up. And so with that's where my intuitiveness was called in. And it was like, oh, I can be a life coach. I can be something. I have a minister's license. I can be more of a counselor. I can be more of these logistical things that my soul already knows because it's done it for so many lifetimes.
Yeah.
And so with that, it's that fine line of being where, like for you, you've had a couple of different jobs that have kind of played out, where with me, I've always been a teacher. I've always been, and that's basically what a counselor is a teacher. It's that bringing forward. And I've always been one that it's like these teaching moments that I've had with people. And it's been a gift to be able to do that. And thank you, Joe, for your comment. I really appreciate that. And so going forward in our knowings that, being part of this job scenario, sometimes we're, like I mentioned on the comments about how do we get put into jobs that we hate? Why do we get put into jobs that we hate, and stir the pot? It's an interesting process of why does the universe put us in certain situations? And
Yeah.
sometimes we're not even in a job that we hate. It could be we're in a relationship that we hate. It could be that we're in a car that we hate. It could be in a scenario that we hate. Am I in a friendship with someone who hates me? It's one of those things. So Regan, do you have
Yeah.
something?
Well, is both of us are life coaches. So there's the spiritual aspect and then
Mm-hmm,
there's the practical earth aspect. So what I try to do to whittle it down, because sometimes it seems so overwhelming. People go, what am I going to do? I don't know. Well, you can do things like, first of all, you can figure, I ask people, are you a soft body or a hard body person? In other words, soft body can't go out and hammer nails all day. They can't be out in the elements or something. Some people have the type of bodies that they have that do better and work well with jobs that are very physical, so,
mm-hmm.
and that's, there's about half the jobs in the world are real physical and half are more intellectual or mental or that sort of skills. So when I sit down with someone, the first thing we do is we do things like this to kind of find, to whittle it down, because then it's easier to kind of look at. If you eliminate, let's say if a person's loves the outdoors, like they feel when they're inside and they think of themselves wearing a suit and tie every day, sitting at a desk, so a lot of people would go, oh yeah, I could do that. And then so other people go, then no, okay, well then we've just eliminated a lot of different jobs that we don't even have to go look at, and then, we want to find out their physical, what kind of shape are they in if they're outdoors. Are these guys that could, like some of the PG&E guys that could climb poles all day and no problem, or are they a bit overweight, and even though they like being outdoors, are they not someone they could do? So there's a lot you can do to get it narrowed down to the kind of work that people, and then you say, okay, with these categories that are left, then can you see yourself are you a 9 to 5er, or do you have the type of personality that's more of more of an entrepreneur? I mean, someone that needs to feel fulfilled, that needs to be their own boss, that needs to be able to to have a skill that they can have and just be one unto themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, if they decide to do that, then you have to whittle it down. Well, what are your skills? What are you good at? What do you have that other people need or want, or what kind of service can you provide? And then it gets down to, well, they could do this, but then is it going to take, you're going to go to a trade school, or do you need to go to a college, or do you not, do you just need to, like right now, we have a relative that has the abilities to be an excellent chef and just loves it, and actually didn't have the money to go to school, but managed to finagle a job in a Michelin star restaurant. Okay. So while there, just worked really, really hard. The master chef that's there took him under his wing, and he learned so much, almost more than he could learn in college. He learned so much so that he was able to go and apply for a job to be a head chef at a high-end restaurant at 23 years old. Okay. Isn't that pretty
Wow.
impressive?
Mm-hmm.
And pretty soon he's got these sold out, for 2 years he did that. He had sold out menus. People would come in, they'd pay $120 a meal, and he would do like a 6-course, like gourmet meal, did very well at that. But then he kind of got burned out because it's very high stress. There's a lot of drugs, alcoholism problems, and stuff, So here's a young man that has a passion, is done extremely well, shows that he's capable, but now he's got to adjust because he doesn't want to be in that environment, that pressure environment now, where drugs and cocaine and that is involved. And so he's got to kind of take a step back now and try to figure out, okay, I have these skills. I want to be a chef. So what I'm saying is that, some people have these abilities, but you can get into a dysfunctional part using those abilities, or it may take some doing to find a way to do it the right way, that way. So some people, don't need to go to college, they can just learn, So here's one suggestion, or one thing that we've come up for this particular person, and he's exploring right now. He's young still. He's not married, so he doesn't have, people under him to take care of. He's saved up enough money to go to Europe. So what he wants to do is to go over there to volunteer to work for free or for little for these high-star restaurants in these different countries, and go from country to country for a while, working 6 months at some of the best restaurants in Europe, and then maybe come back and try to see if he can start his own, come up with the funding and stuff. So I thought that's pretty inventive, I mean, he'll be working for free or for very little, but he can do it because he's single now, and he can see the world. He can learn skills. He can learn recipes and things that he never would be exposed to before. So I think that's a pretty clever, pretty good scenario there,
Yeah, well, that's a good way. And that's the thing is that our jobs, our physical 9 to 5-ish, whatever it is, jobs are here to really help us find a path of who do we want to be inside. It's not necessarily what we're doing, but how we're doing it. How are we managing it? And hi, Katie. Yes, it is Labor Day for us, and thank you very much for mentioning Happy Labor Day. She said Labor Day, and then oh, it's not working. There we go.
there you go.
So I'm going to make a little squirrel moment here for anybody who's popping in. We've had some technical problems. Regan's internet or Wi-Fi is lagging a little bit, and I had to jump off my computer and onto my mobile data on my phone because we were having problems. So if there's any lagging or anything, we do apologize. You know, we have a lot of planets in retrograde right now that are tossing us around, and I think Mercury is starting to do its walk into retrograde. So
Yeah.
technology, language, communication, and all those kinds of things are starting to negotiate a little differently. And so
Well,
perseverance,
let's ask Kate. Yeah.
patience, and practicalities are going to be part of the scenario.
Yeah.
What was
Well,
it?
I'm wondering now, Kate, it's 4 o'clock here. I'm guessing it's probably, gosh, 4 in the morning or 5 or 6 in the morning where Kate is in England right now.
It
I
depends on
wonder,
where she's at.
yeah. Well, but I mean, it's probably like Kate, if you're still there, what do you do for a living? And do you like your job? Or tell us about a little bit more about you. You know, while we're talking about this, we like it when people interact, and it maybe Natasha can help guide you in some way, give you a little reading or something. Like
Well,
how's
I think this is Kate who's been on with us a couple of times.
oh,
So,
okay,
oh
I
yeah, because
remember.
she has the same color and everything like that. So with
Yeah,
that, the you know, one thing that I noticed too, that there's a lot of kids that come in and they say, "Oh, I want to be a vet," or "I want to be this,
yeah,
I want to be a fireman." And a lot of times that we get these ideas from a past life. You know, we
yeah,
fall into these things because we've done something like that in a past life. And that's one thing that that people, if they can understand, is that a lot of times it's not necessarily what we do physically, it's the theme that we're doing that can have our soul do its walk. For me, my soul has always been one who's been either a counselor type, a healer, an intuitive person, um, and I've been working on, you know, many lifetimes of healing, doing healing type of work, or some kind of Wiccan dance of you know, witchery, and you know, these different things. And so in this lifetime, and it's all been the theme of teacher, it's all been the theme of being. And many of us continue that kind of, especially healers of some sort, like you're talking about being on a show with someone who deals with people who have passed, and or who are passing away, and she works with
yeah.
children who are
Work
passing.
with children
And
that
a
are
lot
in
of us that do
hospice.
that
Yeah,
calling are very much part of our soul's walk. It's not
yeah,
necessarily, and then our physical being, our physical body does that, and it has to carry along with the work, you know, type of thing.
yeah.
And that's where sometimes we struggle with that calling and what our physical body can do. And it's an interesting balance. So
Well,
Katie, she says she's currently out of work and finishing up with my education. So she says I'm hoping to
health and
work in
social
the
care.
social. Yeah,
Oh, that's right, the paramedic. I remember now. I
yeah,
remember.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
and that's great.
go ahead.
Well, I'll just say that,
Yeah,
paramedics, my hat's off to them because it takes a really, really, I say, special person to be able to do paramedic work. I think we mentioned that before because they're around, the extreme stress, and they're around other people who are going through extreme stress. So they have to be very centered. That's why, Kate, I would say start now if you don't already. Start a really good meditation practice, because that's going to help keep you centered, and it'll also too help you keep uh, the wall between here and the other side a little thinner. So your guides or angels that are watching over you that try to help give you that intuition to do the right thing for the people that you need help, you'll be more open to making the right decisions in that. Uh, and that's the thing too, is, in the business that Natasha and I are in, we're here just to get people to realize that uh, you know, it's very, very important to begin to act in this life, taking into consideration the higher part of the soul part of yourself the whole time. because life can be so much easier to navigate when you get help from the other side. You know, it's
It
like
is.
opening yourself up to your own mediumship in a way, your own way of handling your intuition and everything. Because if she's going to be in a lot of life and death situations, and sometimes you need to make decisions in the moment. So she needs to be really, really centered. You know, she needs to be centered and yeah, and you know, ready to go. So uh,
And I know for me that me being intuitive really helps me, even if I'm just in the education system of the elementary school, that and she says 100%. And hi, Guy, how you doing? Thank you very much for, we're doing great. We're having a little technical problems here, but we're persevering
we're
through it,
managing.
just like a lot of people have to do. So with that, you know, for me being intuitive, there's many a times where I tune in to the energies around me, and it really helps me to negotiate. So like if I am in a classroom where there's a very you know, a young one, second grader, who's screaming because she's having a hard time right then, and you know, and I have the ability to negotiate it instead of falling into the problem, falling into the scenario, being reactive to the problem. I can actually kind of stay a little bit up and out of it, and help the other people, the other students, the teacher, negotiate a little bit differently, even though I wish I had earphones in, you know, or earplugs in. But at the same time, though, it gives me the ability um, to step into being the greater picture for what's happening, be the stable one. So when somebody looks at me, instead of being frantic and going off the rails, that I can say, it's okay, we're going to be okay. Let's okay. You know, it's hard on me too, you know, and they look at for us to be able to negotiate through the scenario that's going on, so then they come out of it a little bit cleaner. So
Yeah,
so let's see. Kate says, taking a little break in the meantime to make sure that that's what I want to do,
oh,
as
that's
well
great.
as working with on myself, the best vision before I do. Great job, because you cannot, Katie, you cannot be ready for what you're going to be into until you do it, but yet you can do certain skills so that that's the thing is that I find that people who are very spiritual, sometimes they're not spiritual in the heat of things. And so if we can
Yeah,
practice through, so if you can practice some of the spirituality when you go into a grocery store, practice some of the spirituality when you're in the middle of a traffic jam, practice doing some of these things that you want to in the middle of a, of a, of a situation. If you're in with your family and there's a situation going on, practice your deep breathing in those moments, practice those things so that
yeah,
when you are in the scenario of struggle, then it comes to you easier, instead of trying to practice something when it's that that it's a struggle for everything to be. So Mike, you've been here too. Thank you very much for being here.
hey Mike.
So from Manchester, England. Oh, we got two from that area.
Yeah,
My beloved
that was
cat.
Fluffy King's passed away last week. Oh
From
wow.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's we're ooh, there's a huge doorway open right now for our loved ones, four-legged, three-legged, you know, two-legged, one-legged, you know, no-legged, multi-legged, to go, and it's going to be this way for a little while. And I'm so sorry. It's um, Kate says I don't live that far from Manchester. Um,
Oh,
it is a small world. Yes, Katie, it is a small world. Um, there we go. Off,
yeah.
off, off, off. Sorry. I have to touch things with my phone, and it's very sensitive. So if I touch it once, it wants to go back and forth. So, and here again, we're struggling with technology, but we're persevering. And I think that's she had four legs. Yes, yes, yes. And it was not a joke, my dear. I'm just saying, though, that, you know, I want to honor people who have lost something, because I've had a dear friend who just lost her mother, and I'm ready to lose a dear friend myself, and I've lost a couple dear friends, and it's we've lost a lot of people through COVID. This is another layer of I feel like that are going to be passing through in a different way, of cancers, of strokes, of those people that were able to make it through COVID, but yet there's something that's going to be coming in that their bodies had too much stress during that time, and they might have done it. And I know our pets, our wonderful pets, have carried us through a lot of stress,
Yeah.
and so their bodies don't necessarily um, don't necessarily uh, handle the stress like we do, and so the body kind of does get stressed out and gets challenged, and then um, and for me, like when my feline, my cat, passed away on the same day as my job ending, I took it as a message that it was time for me to walk through a new doorway, and it was for me to stand on my own 2 feet, because I loved my Maya so much, but she was my center. She helped center me,
Yeah.
and now I need to do things without being centered. So that's yes, we got to stay strong and cry. We can be
Right.
strong and cry. We can be strong and be sad. We can be strong and know, but it's that form of perseverance that knows that, like I tell the universe, I may have to sit down for a few minutes, but I'm going to get right back up and go forward.
Yeah.
And so it's okay to sit down for a few minutes, and it's okay to sit down and get back up and sit down and get back up. Grief is an interesting process, and a lot of people don't understand. It could be just as thick for as a cat, dog, snake, mouse, whatever it is, to someone losing a family member, because sometimes those animals are just as much our holder-onders.
Yeah.
There's
And
no better way.
here's the good news too. And now this is just from research through the Newton Institute. We've had 70,000 people now that have been able, in a deep state of trance, go to the afterlife and back, and your pet is there.
Hi, Katie.
Yeah,
Hmm.
pets are soul too, just like we are. And when my clients are there, uh, uh, one of the best parts of their adventure, when I have them spend a couple hours in heaven, is reuniting with pets that have passed on, and it's tears coming down their eyes a lot of times, and they go, "Oh, there's my oh my God!" And the thing is, because your soul, you can actually communicate with them just like you do people over there. You can actually have a conversation with the
Hmm.
soul over there. One of the ones we laughed about a few weeks ago is, the thing we realized too is all of us always have part of us in heaven. Like when we come down to get into a body, part of us stays home, and so the same, like if you have pets now and you're having a life between life session, and you can actually see the soul parts to your pets that are currently in your life, and you can ask them how you're doing as a pet owner. And we had one we laughed about last week, was one of my clients. She has 2 dogs. She loves them both. But on the other side, she was able to talk to the soul parts of their self and asked how she was doing. And the other one was pleading for her to have more lap time, saying, "You give so and so more lap time than me, and I need more lap time, just like you give him." And she laughed about that. She says, "Oh God, that's so true." Says, "I kind of been favoring one over the other a little bit." So, you know, uh, um, Natasha, what about in the research we've done? I don't recall if we've really done much as far as finding out from the cats if they sometimes reincarnate back with their same owners again. I mean, I've heard people say that
Yes.
they thought that happened,
Yes.
and I have had people, when they talk to their pets on the other time, realize they've been with that pet many lifetimes,
Yeah.
you know, and
Hmm. And it
and
can be cat
sometimes,
to dog.
right,
It's not, and it could be even, I mean, I know for me that I've chosen to be an animal at some point in my soul's journey. And so with that we can interface, and Guy, I'm so glad that you said that. And thank you, that, the strong
yeah,
person can cry and break. Yes, because, that's, come on, go down. That there's those moments where, and people think that vulnerability, and that's the thing, is when we're choosing our jobs and walking into a job for the first time, and we have to be vulnerable to say, I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to do, I don't know everything. And that it's one of those things that as we go, and Mike, you were saying that she had a difficult she had a difficult personality, but cared for others, cared about others. Yes. So your cat had a difficult. That sometimes I think that souls come down as cats just so they can be a little bit difficult. It gives them a permission to be their own being. It's an independence that a lot of people can't have in our human form or in a dog form. A lot of times there's a strength that cats have. So it's an interesting uh, it's an interesting dance to be a cat, and so I think that's where a lot of souls like to get down as cats once in a while.
Yeah. Animals are a very, very special part of people's lives. And what I would say, once you get over the grieving and once you get it kind of handled that way, since you're a pet lover, there's probably another animal out there somewhere that could use your love and use your attention. So don't hesitate to get another cat, or get a dog or a parrot or something, because people, I've noticed how some people just seem to be pet people, and it's so beautiful when you see that equal love between the pet and the owner,
Hmm.
that way. Other people are not. Some people go, God, I would never have a dog, or I would never. Just like, some people want kids, some people don't want kids. I mean, there's
Hmm.
it's a lot of responsibility there.
Exactly.
But
And too, that's the thing, is that a lot of us think that our jobs in life are about our ones that we make money, and it's not.
yeah,
Sometimes the jobs in our life are are to be with an animal. Sometimes it is to be a good friend. Sometimes it is that process, and sometimes we don't make money at that, but then that's our job, is
yeah,
to be someone that is, like for me, I am who I am, my calling, and that's my job, my calling. And I can do that, sitting on the couch, as well as, doing a session with someone, or doing my day job, or my morning job, because it's just in the mornings, you know, working at the elementary school, because me being dyslexic, I love to support kids with dyslexia. So that's my other calling. And so with that, it's that process of moving forward, and it would be wise of us to take the label off of what do I do to how am I doing it. And
mhm,
then that creates a job, that creates the calling, that creates a lot of these things. And like Katie, who was on, I wish she was still on, because this is now coming to me, that that she may have been called to be a um uh someone who does the counseling, or does the ambulances and stuff, the paramedics, that's the word I was looking for. But at the same time, though, she might be stepping back and supporting those people that are those things. She might be called to be a counselor for those people,
yeah,
and so with that, you never know what journey we're supposed to go down. So if I can tell anybody anything right now, is follow breadcrumbs, the metaphorical breadcrumbs in
yes,
life. Because of the fact that there's so many opportunities out there right now, and we don't know what doorway the universe wants us to walk through. And even if the doorway doesn't look like the one we like, it might lead us to the exact thing that we were called to do.
yeah.
So listen
So
to the
maybe,
breadcrumbs.
yeah.
Listen to the
And there's
breadcrumbs.
that inner guidance. As a matter of fact, especially, it's important to start a spiritual life. Meditation is great. When all these 70,000 people on the other side, when they ask what's the best spiritual practice to keep connected to the other side, so that you can, life can be better. And the guides on the other side always say meditation. So that's really, really important. But follow, like with me in my early 20s, I opened myself up to working with guides. And so, um, there would be these little miracles that would happen, like when I'm trying to think about what's my job going to be or something would happen, and I would go, oh, that's kind of a coincidence or interesting. And then something would happen again, and the third time it happened, I go, okay, I see, my intuition says I got to go here. But it took me from, see, I started out as a newspaper boy, and then I got married and became a door-to-door salesman, started my own door-to-door company. And I went from that to being a real estate broker. And then I had a real estate company, and I actually gave that up to become a professional clown. So you did. So, and that led me to being a ventriloquist and a magician and a mime and a juggler. And learned all those skills. And then I became a fake motivational speaker for corporations, getting paid big money to come in pretending to be somebody that was just a ruse, that the trick that the company was playing on their employees. And then I did company roast, and then I went to Hollywood, became a Screen Actors Guild actor for 12 years. And then all of a sudden that, got the inner guidance to go to Mexico, live for a couple of years, and wrote books, and became a hypnotherapist of all things. And then that becoming a hypnotherapist led me to being a life between lives therapist. So when I look back at all the things that happened, if you saw my whole story, all the pieces finally came together for what my main life's mission is, and that's to do the work that I'm doing now. But I couldn't have done that without having lived, in a sense, I saw the funny side of life, and then I got to start seeing the serious side of life, the pains and the sufferings of the world. And that combination of that kind of made me more well-rounded to understand human beings and personalities, and understand life a lot more. So just like you say, follow the breadcrumbs. The main thing is, if you're looking for a job, even if it's not the one you think you like, take any job, because that just going forward, that's going to lead you to something. It's going to lead you to something. Okay. Yeah.
Exactly. And Mike, I'm so sorry. I know that he said that the vet stopped CPR. Yeah, and that's so hard when we're at the end. I've watched almost all my animals pass, and I supported them through that process, and it was never easy, and it's such a primal moment towards the end of watching anybody pass, anything pass. It's such a primal moment, and it's such a moment of my love is with you. It's not an easy thing to go through when you're watching something dear to us, someone dear to us, to pass, and it's yeah, no words. It's hard to find words.
I've been asked a couple of clients to be with them when they had to put their animals down because of illnesses and things, and me just being there with them, and I was glad that I got to be there with him, but just seeing how difficult that it is, I really feel for him, because I know I can sense what he's feeling right now too.
Yeah,
but
it's not easy.
Yeah, and and when we get pets, we know that more than likely we're going to outlive them, because pets don't generally live to be as long as us humans. So we just kind of bury that back and not think about it, but we know that it happens. But when it does happen, still it's very, very shocking. And the tears and everything that come, that's good. That shows that love, the bond that you had with that other soul, so, welcome that and feel good about that. The fact that you have those feelings, because that showed that you had a genuine loving connection there, something that was of value.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome, Mike. It's very much not easy, and it's so raw, and it's not, grief is one of those things that doesn't matter who it's for. I've had someone who, was a son, and, never met his father, and found out his father passed, or his blood father passed. And like, people are telling me I shouldn't be grieving. I said, oh, you should be grieving, because it's not necessarily, you never had a relationship. So even if you're grieving the image of what you wanted with this man, the image of who you wanted to be with this man, you're grieving that. And that's just as well as grieving someone who you had a lifetime with. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what it's labeled. Grief is grief, and just love yourself through this process.
Yeah.
Mike, love yourself through this process, because it's not
It,
easy.
and here's something that was an awakening for me when I was in my 20s or 30s, and I met this master, this teacher that was just this amazing spiritual human being. I mean, just as loving as you can imagine. And even though he had this great knowledge of knowing that, we're just souls here in this body temporarily, we're going to go back home, which is our
Hmm.
true home. I was surprised to see him shedding tears when somebody died. I'm thinking, well, hey, they're just over there and they're okay. So why are you grieving? And he just said, that's not the way it works, because we're human beings and we have this connection and feeling, even though that they're okay, even though that there's an afterlife and everything, that you're going to be with them again in a blink, because life's so short. We still grieve when we're detached from things or people we love, you know, there's that something when they're not in our close proximity, in a sense. So
Yeah, it's the physical touch, it's the hearing, it's
it's
the
yeah,
touching, it's the smelling, it's all those things that bring it forth. And that's the thing is that, when we're changing jobs and we're changing things, it can hit us like grief, like every other thing. And so when we're
yes,
in the midst of big changes, job changes, going from being at home to having to work because now I have to pay my bills, being the goal of being retired and then having to go back to work again because
yeah,
there's just not enough money. There's the grief that's in that process. But there's ways of negotiating that grief and moving forward through the process. And many times it's having that conversation with self. Sorry body, sorry mind, sorry spirit, sorry um, goals that I had, that this is not working out the way I wanted it to, but yet I can move forward, and let's work together to get there, and pick everything up and persevere through. Sometimes we can get there and we can find the joy. We can have joyful moments, and it's in that perception. There's people who find that they just don't want to sit on the couch and retire, so they go and be hostess at, let's say, Target
yeah,
or Walmart, and people go, why are you doing this? And it's like, because I'm greeting people, I'm talking with people, i'm
yeah,
i'm i'm bringing joy to people. And so they've changed their intention, they changed their perception, they changed. And that's the thing is that if we're in a job we don't like, how much do we wake up in the morning and dislike where we're going? So start changing your perspective a little bit when you first wake up. I'm okay, body. We know we're not a morning person, but we're going to get up and we're going to say, I'm grateful for this job. I'm going to say, first off, I'm grateful for this job. And then I'm going to say, I'm grateful that I can actually eat breakfast. This is me personally. I'm grateful I can eat something before I walk out the door. I'm grateful that, oh, I remembered my water today. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for, oh, look at that. There's a rainbow this morning as I'm driving to work. Thank you. So finding gratitude as you go forward, it's amazing how you can walk differently into a job that you really hate.
oh yeah,
And it's amazing how when we sit differently in our job, in our being, find gratitude, it's amazing how the people around us start changing.
it is. And again, that bumper sticker, boy, how you've changed since I've changed. You know, uh, and you're right, Natasha, because you can turn, before leaving a job, just because you having trouble with the people that you're working with, what I would do first is see if there's some way that you can change yourself to change the situation rather than expecting them to change. And one spiritual exercise that works really good is just as you're walking into work, you're walking under the doorway to yourself. You just say, bless this day and those I serve, as you walk
Mhm.
through the door. It sets the tone instead of walking through like, oh, I'm going to see that bastard again. It's going to be, oh God, that guy that pisses me off today. Instead it's going in there and going, bless this day. You got this guy that's mean to you, you know, under your breath, you just tell them you love them. You know, I love you, even though you're being an asshole right now. You know, I love you,
Exactly.
you know,
I have a
you can
mantra. I'm
change.
asking for healing on this. I'm asking for healing on this. I'm asking for
Yeah,
healing on this. So I love you. I love you. I love you. I'm asking for healing on this because, that's again, Regan, I love the mantras because it's like it
yeah.
helps us work through what's going on.
Yeah, it's a change in perspective. And just the short version, I'll give again of a client that I helped to go to the other side to find out why she was in a relation. Well, one of the three doctors that would come in during the week was very cruel to her all the time. So much so she would have panic attacks with her going to work. And she didn't know why, because she'd never done anything to this person at all. She didn't even really know him. He just was cruel. And it made it horrible for her on those days when he would be there. So in a deep trance, she went to a past life and she went to heaven. She's there, and we got her before the guides, and she says, why am I having such a trouble with this guy? I've never done anything mean to him. And they said, you were very cruel to him in another lifetime. And that's all that they said. Well, she came back, and with that knowledge, she didn't actually do anything, talk to him or anything. But she says from that day forward, he was never mean to her ever again. And she was able to go to work and it'd be okay. Something happened energetically where she had this understanding. I think she changed, and boy, how you've
Hmm.
changed since I've changed. You know,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
yeah, so so a lot of times there's reasons, and sometimes the reasons people hate retirement is it's not the job they miss, it's the people that they miss that are
Mhm.
in their job, and all of a sudden they're not around their friends anymore, or they're not around these people, and it's like all your friends just came up and came to the door and said, hey, I'm moving away, bye, moving away, bye, moving away, and you go, oh my gosh, you know so that's why, even if you just want to take a job as a greeter at Walmart, nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, and we talk about that as it's a low job, but what a great job to have, to smile. Just imagine standing there welcoming people and smiling at them all day, saying something nice to people. I mean, it's a great job. you know so um
But not
how do we
not
do it?
everybody fits in it. And that's the thing is we got to really
Right.
check in with ourselves. Is this something I can live with? Is this something that I can live with? And if it's something you can live with, then try it. You know,
Yeah. And
try
there's
it out a little bit to see where it leads you.
you're right. There's nothing wrong with trying a job. You can always, just because you start a job doesn't mean that you can't quit it in 6 weeks if you don't like it. And I tell people sometimes, they says, well, I took that job and I hated it. And I says, well, then you're getting closer to finding the job that you like, because you've just found another kind of job you don't like. So you don't have to search in that field anymore. So sometimes
Hmm.
it's trial and error. Before I forget, there's a book that's probably still in print that you can still get it. It's good to read. It says, do what you love, the money will follow. And
Hmm.
it's a great book about finding what your passion is. Don't worry about becoming a billionaire. You may become a billionaire in doing what you love, but the main thing is to be happy in what you're doing in the universe. When you're truly doing the work that you love to do, somehow the universe will provide enough money for you to pay the bills and to have a happy life. Um, so
Exactly, exactly. And Mike's talking about his cat and about how, she had this kind of cruel personality, but then she brought a mouse into the kitchen and the cat, Fluffy was not cruel to the mouse, but then took her to a forecast psychiatrist and said that she was borderline psychopath. You know, that sounds like a cat. That just
yeah,
plain old sounds like a cat, a
that's
personality
yeah,
of a cat. So yeah, she was meant to show you that you can be strong in the midst of somebody having a personality, is what I'm getting
yeah,
to. So it's
yeah.
not about what her personality was, it's about what her personality was with you, and what did she teach you, how did she support you, how did you support her, and what did you learn from it. So if you can look at that, Mike. So I do hope we had, here again was another time when technology, we should talk about perseverance one of these days, because
Yeah,
our world with this technology stuff lately has been something that we've had to persevere through.
yeah.
And Mercury in retrograde or not,
Yep.
you're more
Well,
than welcome, Mike.
yeah, I'm glad
He
to
said,
chat.
thank
Hey,
you.
and Mike, you know, uh, we're on every 4 o'clock every Monday, and then Natasha has her own show at Wednesday at 4. So, you know, when you have, that's California time or West Coast time, whatever time it is there with you now.
Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah, so chime in, and as time goes by, let us know if you're able to get another cat, or you know how you're doing with your grief. Okay, and watch for your cat to pop into your dreams or something too, because you know that's one way that souls from the other side. It's a very common
We
way
communicate.
that they communicate. You know, might be and that's because that's when you're really relaxed, and you're going to be more accepting of that kind of little miracle happening. You know, so maybe your cat will come to you that way. You know, or some other way that you'll go, oh my gosh, that's my cat telling me that she's okay. Uh, you know, that way. So, uh, so I guess our time is about up,
It
right?
is. It is
So let me tell
amazingly
people.
so.
I know it goes so. It's funny. That's like sometimes we start out a little slow, but then it just gains momentum, and then we're talking about all this great stuff and that it helps us and other people. So it's wonderful that way. If anybody wants to get a hold of me, it's visit the afterlife there on the screen.com. I'm one of the 250 certified therapists with the Newton Institute, trained in helping people achieve a deep state of trance, whereby you go to a past life, see yourself pass away, turned around, there's your guide or angel. You get to go to heaven for a few hours and get answers to questions you've prepared ahead of your session. Go to your soul group, which are souls that you normally incarnate with and kind of have a little bit of homecoming. And there's about 6 other stations, different places we've discovered in the afterlife. They've opened a little portal for people to get a glimpse, just a glimpse of heaven, but enough to where you're going to find out that you have a purpose, you have a mission in life, that you're loved beyond belief, and that you have your own angel or guide that's watching out for you. And I also do regular therapy over Zoom and everything too, for fears, phobias, post-traumatic stress, even as something simple as stopping smoking and losing weight. You know, can be done very easy. Hypnosis can be done. It's just so easy for 90% of people. So anyway, and Natasha, now I know you're at angelicclarifications.com, and
Hmm.
tell people just to, I want to tell one thing she does excellent now too. She's a feng shui expert. My office, she visited me and changed my office around, and I've never felt better in that office in all these years. So I really think about that. I thank you every day for that. She just has this knack for knowing how things should be, to be set up in the best way, to has the best energy, so you feel good in your space. So, but go ahead, Natasha. Tell them about your feng
Thank you.
shui and
Yes,
everything and
it's
your
one of my hats, because
skills.
I love tuning in, and that's one thing that with me doing feng shui, and this is what I love to do, is tune into the energies of who's sitting in front of me doing a private session, or a feng shui session, or house clearing, or anything. It's about, because Regan, it wasn't about tuning into your office, it was tuning into your energy, tuning
Oh,
into
okay.
the room's energy, tuning into the house's energy, turning into the land's energy.
Wow.
And when you work in with all that, it brings into the attunement to where things really want to be. And things can be changed. It's not necessarily because it's our physical being, our physical knowing, but that's the thing about life, and doing sessions with someone, and having a session with someone. It's amazing, the gift that can come forward, just being with someone, to guide, to support them moving from one spot in their life to the next. Because that's one thing that I'm really noticing. People are going through grief, and emotions, and there's this doorway of a lot of planets in retrograde right now that are triggering a lot of our young child. I've had people around me lately who've been very sentimental, and coming back to memories that have happened in different times in their life, and it's triggering a lot of things to move forward, and sometimes we don't know how to move forward, and I love to help people with that. So
Yeah.
with that, I'm a medium, intuitive guidance, life coach. I am very much into the energies of the now, and helping people work through. And the one thing, the mantra right now that I can give to anybody to help is, I'm asking for healing on this. I'm asking for healing on this. And Mike, I'm asking for healing on this as you walk through your grief, because the fact that when I ask for healing on this, I'm asking for your guides, your angels, your power, your higher power, whoever you choose to believe in, to guide and add some healing for your grief that you're going through.
Yeah.
Uh,
Good luck to you, Mike.
yeah, so I think Fluffy became angry when she stepped on a wasp and had to have her foot amputated. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yes. A lot of us don't deal with change very well, and so she had her own grief. She had her own grief. But it's time for us to go. Regan, it's so nice to have you back again. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm back from Mexico, going back home to tomorrow up to San Francisco. I've got a Life Between Life session this Saturday, and actually have a session from a Life Between Life client that I'm helping in regular therapy now, just to deal with some issues. So,
Hmm.
be a busy week.
Yeah. Well, blessings to you on this journey, and know that we are both open for sessions, and with the full intention of being here for you and to support you. So you can go to both of our websites. I'm angelicclarifications.com, and he is visittheafterlife.com. Blessings all. We are here. And this show will be on podcast. There we go. That's the word I was missing. Shows are going now on podcasts, and you can reach those at any podcast station. Life Clarifications with Natasha is what it's called. So blessings, everyone. See you on Wednesday and
See you
next
next
Monday
week.
at 4 Pacific time. Bye now.
Bye.